Hello, Todd here, and today we're going to be doing a do-it-yourself video on making a skate rail. So first of all, I want to give credit to Boulderbond, who initially posted a video on how to make a skate rail in this exact same design, using their adhesive to bond the top rails to the skate deck or the rail top portion of because it's made out of wood, so you need some sort of a steel to keep the wood from getting worn down. But we're going to use Gorilla Glue today instead. So the material that you need two 1.5 inch by 1.5 inch angle iron. You need an 8 to 10 foot, I got a 10 footer 2x4. You need a 8 foot 4x4 section. You actually really only need about 3 feet of the 4x4 because it's going to be just the legs to hold up the rail. You need screws. You need a box of 2.5 inch screws, and then somewhere about 1.5 inch screws. So 1.5 inch screws, 2.5 inch screws, anything for plywood, wood, homework, decking screws, anything like that will work. And then you're going to want 4 angles, and these are to support the feet that you'll make out of the additional 2x4s. The base is on either end of the rail to help for additional support. And then clamps that you're going to want to, when you bond the rails to the top of the 2x4, you're going to want some clamps to hold it on. And then I always pre-drill everything before I drill it so you don't snap off any of your drills, your screws, and they go in a lot smoother. And then some sort of impact on for driving in the screws. So we'll get started. I'm going to cut everything to length and then have it in free form set up before we fasten it all together. One thing to note is you can make this at any height that you want, and my son is fairly new at skateboarding, so we're going to make this one only 6 inches tall, and therefore when you've got a 1.5 inch height of a 2x4 and the stanchions, we're going to only make it 4.5 inches tall. And so we'll start with that, and I'll be back soon. Thank you. Alright, we're back, and we have cut everything to length. So as you can see, the layout is you've got a 1 inch foot of 2x4 on either end, and then you've got a leg that will get screwed down through the top of the rail, and then from the bottom side coming up, you'll screw the foot into the leg as well. And then you've got 2 supports centered, or however you like to space them, and then at the other end the same thing. So one thing to point out is the next thing we're going to do is screw all the wood together, and then the last function is to put the rails on top, the steel rail on top of the wood rail, and that's what we'll be bonding on here with the Gorilla Glue. The Gorilla Glue is it's basically triggered by water, and it's waterproof, climate, and everything proof. So it should last through the weather if you don't store the thing inside. And you know how kids are, it's probably going to be left outside or on the side of the house, or who knows where it might be. So obviously this is just regular iron, and it's going to rust as well. So who knows what can prevent that if you want to treat it with something. One of the things I want to point out though is when you put the rail on here, you absolutely want to make sure that all your screws that you screw in through the wood are flush. Now this is soft enough material, just be implying that it'll probably sink into the wood enough, but if you want, you can use a countersink so that when the screws go in, you've got kind of pre-countersunk the holes after you pre-drill them to ensure that the screws definitely do sit flush before you mount the steel rail on top. So I'm probably going to put 4 screws going down in each, 4 screws as well going up. Those are going to be the 2.5 inch wood screws. When we get back, we will be fastening and clamping on the steel channel iron. Alright, we're back, and we've got everything fastened together except for the angle supports for the legs that are on the end. So as you can see, you've got the 2 legs in the middle that are cut. These are 4.5 inches each. and 1.5, so it equals a total of 6 inches. And then you've got 1.5, 3 inches, 1.5 for a total of 6 inches. You can adjust the legs as you see fit. You can make this thing 6 inches, 8 inches, 10 inches, however high your kid can jump on the skateboard and use the rail. For me, it would be about a 1/2 inch off the ground, maybe. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do real quickly is put the angles on, 2 screws each. That's what the 1.5 inch screws are for. So we'll put those on, one on either side. This helps for a little additional support to strengthen up the wood on the ends. And then after that, we will adhere the angle iron to the top and let it sit overnight, and we'll be done. Alright, slight oversight on my part. In putting these channels on, you have to make sure that they're small enough, if you're going to go with a smaller rail, that this does not extend onto the top 2x4 itself, because when the channel goes on here, the channel overhangs and then it wouldn't sit flush. So what I had to do is I drilled new holes, and now I've got to cut off this channel so that it doesn't extend beyond the post. So whatever height the rail you make, if you make a taller one, well, you can use a larger angle here. But if you make a smaller rail, you're going to have to go with a smaller angle, or you're going to have to cut it to length. So just something to point out. As soon as I cut these off, then we'll be gluing these on, and then we're all done. Alright, so here we are for the last step in the process. Outside of the little mishap with the channels not, the support angles being too long. So if you make a taller rail, you're not going to have a problem. These are 4x4, and it's just extended a little bit too long. It was these are 3 inches, so it extended up into the wood rail and caused a bit of a problem with the rail sitting flush. So you don't want to do that, because I had to get out the cutter and cut them off. So the next step is to adhere these rails, because you don't want to screw them down. You could, if you wanted to, drill some holes in them. That kind of be a pain, but we're going to adhere them with Gorilla Glue, and this stuff is activated by water. So you want to wipe down the wood surface, wipe down the inside of the channels with water, and apply glue to the top surface, and we're going to clamp them together, and then we'll let it sit overnight until it cures, and we'll be done. I previously wiped these down because, as you know, iron is going to corrode, it's going to rust. Another option is to use aluminum channels if you don't want that to happen. These will definitely last a lot longer than aluminum. Might wear out a lot quicker grinding on it with a skateboard, so I chose to go with the iron over aluminum. But that could be, it's up to you, it's your choice. Probably apply a pretty liberal amount. If any squeeze out is going to be able to be cleaned up. Just to note, one of the things that I did at the hardware store was to check the straightness of the 2x4 with the angle iron before I purchased everything, because as you know, nothing's really necessarily straight out there, usually warped. And all these supplies were bought at Home Depot, and the total cost came to $75 for everything. The channels, the 2x4, the 4x4s, the angles, all the screws, and the glue. So what I've decided to do is just clamp the angles on either end in, and then I'm going to finally clamp them down to hold them. You can choose to use however many clamps you want. I think that 2 holding it sideways and maybe 6 clamps, 3 on either side holding it down, that ought to suffice. So So at least that's what I'm hoping for. Alright, well that about does it. So I hope you liked the video, my first do-it-yourself video, and you know, like and subscribe, check out my other videos, as well as you're going to find barbecue videos, dirt bike videos, some goofy kids in the pool and whatnot. So hopefully you like this. Let me know what else you'd like to see. Alright, thank you.